podcast is brought to you by the generosity of the following companies. The Old Mill Press, publishing beautifully crafted books that illuminate our world. To learn more, visit theoldmillpress.com. And by listeners like you.
This is animator Angie Glocka, and you are listening to the Skull Rock Podcast.
Aye, mateys, remember this as the day you sailed with the Skull Rock Podcast. Proceed at your own risk and mark well me words, mateys. Dead men tell no tale.
Welcome to Skull Rock Podcast, your show about all things Disney and pop culture. Every week we take you behind the scenes of some of your favorite Disney films, theme park attractions, performances, books, and music, as well as what's streaming, what's in theaters, and what's going on in this multiverse of entertainment. I'm Aljon Go, musician and longtime Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars fan, and you can email me, Aljon, A-L-J-O-N, at skullrockpodcast.com.
And I'm Kat Arcori. I am here in the place of Dave Bossert this week. I am an experiential producer, a film historian, and I'm so excited to be back this week. Welcome to the Skull Rock Podcast. If you love Disney and pop culture, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also like and follow on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can also email Dave at skullrockpodcast.com.
All right. Hey, Kat, welcome back.
Hello.
All right. Hello. Thank you once again for being in the sub seat, sitting shotgun for another week of Skull Rock Podcast. Dave.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Dave has emailed me. He's on the road and he was like, I really like Kat. I'm like, I'm glad you do finally, because I've been telling Dave and, some of our friends on the show how awesome it is to talk to you. We've been friends now for, almost 2 decades. Almost 2 decades. And you are not only just an amazing person, but you're so wonderfully talented. And to have you on the show to kind of talk about pop culture and film, which is something you do a lot in your professional life, is great.
Yes.
So thank you for being on the show. And gang, we have an awesome show lined up for you. We have Shawn Degenhart of the Cinderella score. I'm going to take that back. This week on the show, we have Shawn Degenhart from Cinderella score, and his book is out. He's recently been doing an exploration of the Disney film, publishing a full study score, which is awesome. If you're a music fan like myself, you're going to love this book, because I think Disney scores, especially in that era, are amazing. And we don't really talk about the music all that much. I mean, the animation usually takes front and center stage, but with composers and film breakdowns of music, I find it completely fascinating. And I don't know, Kat, I know you've got to be a big fan of the music.
Definitely. I am a big Sherman Brothers fan, and I am we were talking about Fantastic Four last week, and Michael Giacchino can, have the moon, in my opinion. So I'm interested in what this is about. I can't wait to listen to it, because I do love the Cinderella score. The 1950 Cinderella score is so beautiful.
It really is. I mean, very complimentary to all the majestic art and everything in that film. It is a work of art in its entirety. And Dave will be breaking it down with Shawn in just a little bit, so hang on to your hats for all of that. We also have got some pop culture news and what we've been watching. But first and foremost, let's do this.
Skull Rock Podcast answers your email.
We've gotten so many great responses from our Kevin Lima month last month in July. In fact, it reached 6 episodes total. So, it was a huge series. Everybody absolutely loved it. And thank you, Kevin, for being on the show. You've been, wonderful. What a wonderful guest. And we appreciate you being on the show and taking so much time. But we have this email. This is from Javier Cortez on YouTube, and this is in response to Kevin Lima's Part 3, The Legacy of Disney's Tarzan, which to me is very underrated. I really enjoyed Tarzan, and not only did I love the animation, but even the story. It's got a lot of heart. And I love how Disney kind of executed that. From a Mexican Disney fan, now 63 years old, I've been more than 20 times. The first one, the fall of 1969, I think he's talking about Disneyland. Your podcast is really good. I love Tarzan, in my humble opinion. The cusp of the cusp of Disney handmade animation on par with Pinocchio. Wow, that's high praise. High praise. A request, chapter in the old motels and restaurants surrounding Disneyland during the 70s. My family went to a very outdated space-themed hotel that was separated to the park from the parking lot only by a fence. Interesting, Javier. Dave has spent so much time researching parks, and it's interesting how all of those things kind of sprang up around that whole area, around the Disneyland resort. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could find something about the different hotels that have kind of been there throughout the ages. In fact, the kind of theming of said hotels, they're kind of dying out slowly around that area. Kat, you're a Disneylander. So,
yes,
I don't know anything about a space themed hotel around the Disneyland park during that time, because that is way before my time. But,
okay. So I just did a quick Google.
Okay.
Because I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
This thing looks crazy.
Oh yeah.
So it was called Best Western Stovall Space Age Lodge.
What?
So it was part of the Best Western franchise. It's technically still there, but definitely re-themed.
Whoa.
This is crazy town. Oh my god.
Whoa. Okay.
It's like literally got a rocket in front of it.
Interesting.
I am deceased. This is so cool.
Okay.
Listen to this. Moon level luxury at down to earth rates. Incredible.
That's amazing.
Incredible. This thing is straight out of Tomorrowland. You guys, oh my gosh, this is wild.
I love that. Okay. Well, it makes sense. It would make sense. I mean, you went straight from the black hole and you went straight into this hotel.
Yeah. Seriously.
I mean, wow. Okay. That's cool.
Crazy.
Well, there is a Best Western there. So is it that Best Western that's still there?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Just that they obviously rethemed it to be like a modern Best Western, but it was an attraction in the 70s.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I tell you, there are all kinds of great hotels there. I've stayed in several hotels over my time there. I've never stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. I've never stayed at the Paradise Pier Hotel. I do eventually want to. But I've usually stayed at like the Red Lion or the Hampton Inn or, the different hotels around there, especially for D23 Expo because, we have to be so close to the Expo Center, back in the day. And, so I'm definitely looking forward to this. And Kat, by the way, you're getting the best me, which is like early morning Aljon before a whole pot of coffee. So I've got the Barry White voice going,
I was shouting at people all night last night, so I'm down too. It's fine.
Okay. Well, no problem. Hey, thanks for that comment, Javier Cortez, on YouTube. I do appreciate that. Thanks for subscribing to our show. And once again, you can do that. We're on all the socials. Please do that. And we really would appreciate it, not only for you to subscribe to the show, but also subscribe to our YouTube page. Every little bit helps. And, it's really fun to do these really cool shows and answer your emails. We definitely will check that out. And now, well, when that projector's running, it's time for our picks of the week. And typically Dave and I will discuss what we've been watching and streaming over this week. But this week was really challenging for me. It's been super busy. And I didn't get a chance to check out some of the movies I said that I would, and Superman is one of them. Megan 2.0, I haven't even been able to check out. And I keep on meaning to see Sinners and I haven't seen it yet. It's been literally on my watch list for weeks and it's going to be streaming soon. So it's like, I'm done. I can't even go there. And so with Lilo and Stitch. So those are all the ones like I meant to see and review, but I have yet to do it. Just haven't had the time. But I tell you what, I have been able to watch is Born to Be Viral, The Real Lives of Kidfluencers. This is a mini series doc on Hulu, and I'll read the boiler really quick. It follows the extraordinary journey of the first generation of children whose entire upbringing has been shared online by their parents, often to millions of people, with some families earning millions and millions of dollars. So I saw this show, my wife, and I thought to myself, how can this not be kidsploitation? Because these parents and, that post all of their stuff on, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I mean, it's like constant. And I have seen, especially during the pandemic, the rise of a lot of these channels, of kidfluencers, and it went from like having a toy channel to like all of a sudden every aspect of their lives being caught and streamed or put online. And it's just a little troubling to me because, my kids stumble upon this stuff on YouTube. And I'm like, no, we're not watching it. We're not watching it because I think it just gives them a false sense of what reality is.
Definitely.
These kids are opening up toys all the time. They have their huge, ginormous play sets that they play in, and their families, do a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, no, we're not watching it. And then I'm thinking, if they have cameras all the time surrounding them, and they're being homeschooled as well, like what is stopping them from just being completely exploited? And, we talk about, the creepers and stuff that are out there that are like, in the comments that these people leave. And it's like, it's completely creepy. And, I don't know what the answer is, but, you can only hope that the children are being treated well and that the parents are putting away some money, and not exploiting them. It's interesting stuff. And, you and I, Kat, were talking about that whole Dan Schneider, 90s, documentary that they put up recently about how the factory, of these kid shows in Hollywood were completely like, just off the rails crazy, and the people that are involved.
I feel like it's been a thing, like, since the beginning of the entertainment industry. You go back to looking at Shirley Temple and Judy Garland when they were kid actors on amphetamines to lose weight and be awake for hours at a time because they couldn't get a break.
Right.
And then now in the 90s, it was the Nickelodeon machine, the Disney Channel machine, just working kids and getting as much out of them as they possibly could. You guys don't talk about true crime too much on this show, but
I do. I do. But yes.
I can't remember if you guys talked about Ruby Frankie.
Yes.
When that was going down.
I saw that whole thing. Mm-hmm.
It just, whenever anyone talks about kid actors or, YouTube channel kid type stuff, social media stuff, it always makes me think of Ruby Frankie and like how quickly it can go off the rails and become not only exploitative, but dangerous.
Yes.
Like it's such a fine line because reality becomes so skewed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy to me that like how 100 years of filmmaking and entertainment and we still haven't, learned where to draw the line is a little shocking.
I think it's so much driven by greed. It's,
for sure.
And they interview these parents over the course of 5 years. And when they first start, one of the families got the rub from the, Jake and Logan Paul being featured and literally sent them flying into the stratosphere. And, they're, actresses and musicians that got married and got the rub from the Paul brothers. And all of a sudden they're, making millions of dollars in brand deals and their children are just not into it. And it's like, why do you keep doing it? We all know we're sitting there watching the narrative and it's like, surely they're doing it for the money.
Of
and
course.
I get that. But it's like, well, you know, I just wish we can, you know, they have these little sob stories like, I wish we can just have a normal life. I wish I could take it back. And I said, yes, you can. You can unplug right now if you wanted to.
Seriously.
For these adults, I have no sympathy. For the children, I have mega sympathy because they didn't choose this. And now they're getting warped and they resent their parents. They, you know, some of them like it, and maybe they go on to have established themselves as, you know, social media stars on their own platforms and things like that.
Sure.
Cause I guarantee you, you know, like, you know, I feel like the Olsen twins were like you know, an example of, I wouldn't necessarily say exploitive, but they were, you know, millionaires. They went in and branched off and did their own fashion thing, and they did their own, you know, book, you know, stuff, all their videos and things that they've done. It's like if it was, you know, 20 years later, they would have been multimedia, you know, social influencers themselves. You
Totally.
know? And they've, you know, so I don't know. I just think there's a gross factor behind some of these actions and how they manufactured these viral videos about, you know, getting hurt, you know, people, you know, because that's what people click onto, or people just face planting themselves and doing prank videos and hurting themselves, and the kids not understanding that mommy and daddy fight on camera because they want to get viral.
Yeah.
And it confuses the children. It's completely just gross.
It's so icky to me.
But,
It gives me the ick.
There is good. I will say that there can be some good and sharing some family fun. We've seen Disney vloggers have family fun, but I think the line needs to happen, but I'm certainly not the one to do it. But if they're going to be held to a standard of creating content like Hollywood is, that, you know, hours need to be logged, you know, for this. And if they're being homeschooled, who's going to police that? I think it's impossible to police, even though, companies like Meta and Facebook are trying to do that. I don't think you can. So anyway, that's kind of Born to Be Viral. It was a quick and easy watch, and that's what I saw this week. Kat, how about you? What did you watch this week?
Well, I too had a rough week this week.
It's busy time for you.
Yeah. But I did get a chance to watch My Oxford Year on Netflix. It's a film starring Sophia Carson and Corey Milchrist and Doug Ray Scott, who I just adore from Ever After long ago. And I enjoyed it.
Okay.
So I find lately that people have been advertising like all romantic content as like comedies.
Yes.
And the last couple romantic comedies, I'm using comedies very loosely, have actually been very depressing.
Oh boy.
Like you get to a certain point in the film and you go, "Oh, this isn't funny. Like this is heartbreaking." And that's how I felt about this one. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It's based on a book by Julia Whelan. It's about a student who goes to Oxford for a gap year, to study poetry, and the hijinks ensue, and then tragedy.
Oh no.
But it was really beautiful. It was beautifully shot. I love Sophia Carson. I think she's really coming into her own from her Disney Channel days. She's doing tons and tons of stuff, and I think she's just killing it. She's knocking it out of the park. And Corey Milchrist, he was wonderful in Queen Charlotte, and I think he's great in this. He's just, I can't wait to see what he does next. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Nice.
So I enjoyed it, highly recommend, but definitely be ready to cry.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, all right. That
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, it's all good.
And then I had the extreme privilege of being in the audience for the opening night of Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl.
Ooh.
Starring Cynthia Erivo,
Wow.
Adam Lambert, Philippa Sue, Milo Manheim, and friend of the pod, John Stamos.
Yes. Yes.
And it was one of the most incredible live performances I've ever seen in my entire life.
How can it not with those singers?
Legitimately. It was absolutely breathtaking. It was lit to perfection.
Wow.
And Cynthia and Adam, I just was beside myself. It was incredible. It was incredible.
I've been an Adam Lambert fan for a long time. He is just, to me, one of the premier male rock vocalists right now. And he's an amazing singer. With a cast like that, how could it not be? You take an Andrew Lloyd Webber classic, you put it up there for all time, and it's an amazing story, but wow, I mean, just an amazing musical, well written, and then you have these talented people. How could it not be, right?
Yeah. And Adam, if you're not familiar with the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, first of all, it does have a religious tone, obviously, but it was written in the 70s, so it's got a lot of like 70s style, very, very high male vocal range. It's a difficult part to sing, and watching Adam do it like he was reciting the alphabet was just, it was perfection. I know they've released at least one song on Spotify that you can take a listen to. I would highly recommend it, even if you're not a musical theater person. It's just his vocal tone and clarity live in front of 17,000 people opposite Cynthia Erivo, Emmy, Grammy, Tony winner, Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah, Grand Slam champion.
Seriously, it was incredible. It was incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah, to experience that. And I mean, at the Hollywood Bowl, no doubt. An amazing place to see musicals like that. So I'm sure it's going to be streaming at some point.
I hope they record one of the nights this weekend to share out, because I was blown away. I was blown away.
I love it when they do that. I love it when they're able to share these musical experiences, whether it's on Disney Plus or whatever, whether it's, any one of the, I have to applaud actually Disney Plus, because when they put out these musical content, like Encanto at the bowl or, what have you, or they recently did Frozen, which I enjoyed a lot, or Hamilton, I totally enjoyed it. I wish they would do more of it. I think it opens up a lot more people to what Broadway musicals are like, and probably, whets their appetite to see it live. I would think. I think it's a brilliant move for them to go see The Lion King on Broadway, because the show is amazing. And if you've seen it streaming, it's not the same. You have to see it with people. And I think that's the great thing about, the theater in general, is that, whether you're seeing a movie or a live performance, there's nothing like seeing it live with a bunch of people and seeing the excellence being executed, with these great musicals, and the lighting and the music and the sound and the stagecraft and the costuming. It's just an amazing thing. So anyway, good for you, Kat.
It was great.
Awesome. Hey gang, what have you been watching? Let us know. We will hopefully review it in an upcoming episode and let you know what we think about what's streaming.
Skull Rock Podcast. This week in Disney and pop culture.
Wow. Box office. Knee deep in the summertime. I can't believe that it's already August. I can't believe it. But Paramount's acclaimed The Naked Gun revival starring Liam Neeson opposite Pam Anderson started off its North American run with a Friday gross of $6.3 million for an estimated $16.5. That is not bad for this movie. I saw the trailers. I think it's hilarious. Liam Neeson, to me, is just an amazing actor. And Pamela Anderson, I think, is fun, too. It's good enough for a third place finish, and this comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, behind Marvel and the Fantastic Four First Steps, which remains perched at first place with an estimated $40 million second weekend, and Universal DreamWorks Bad Guys 2, which has grossed $9.2 million. What do you think of the box office round out for this week, Kat? Have you seen some of these? I mean, you and I, we saw Fantastic Four.
We saw Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four was great. I have not seen Naked Gun yet, but I have heard nothing but glowing positive reviews, which I think is really interesting. It's not included here, obviously, because they don't have a box office. Happy Gilmore 2 also came out this past week.
Yes.
So I feel like this revival of this style of comedy is very refreshing. It's not something we've been seeing lately. I'm glad it's going to do well.
Same here. I can't wait to go see Happy Gilmore 2. I know everyone is buzzing about it as people can stream it on Netflix, and Adam is a well-loved figure in that space. Liam Neeson, this is kind of the first that I've seen of him. You know, I think of Taken all the time. It's like, I've got a certain set of skills, you know, and I think of Liam Neeson in that, or Qui-Gon from Star Wars. But to see him in this role as the son of Leslie Nielsen from the original Naked Gun, I think is going to be really, really cool. I can tell you that my kids and I love to see Bad Guys. The Bad Guys animated film, I think that's on Universal DreamWorks, is hilarious. I love that, you know, the kind of misfit bad guys all band together and then they have these crazy adventures. I think it's super fun. And the trailer for Bad Guys 2 looks equally as fun, as they kind of are spoofing a lot of blockbuster films. And I think the spoof is coming back in a big way, as you said. You know, with Naked Gun and Happy Gilmore, they kind of, you know, they do a lot of pop culture riffs and stuff. Well, good. I'm glad everything's going well for the box office. Superman didn't face the same competition when it opened, but it is holding in as well. I can't wait to see Superman myself. I keep telling myself I need to see it, and I need to make the time for it. Kat, you want to talk a little bit about Spider-Man news for this week?
Let's do it. So, a teaser featuring the brand new superhero Spider-Man costume was released this week, showing Tom Holland showing off his brand new Spidey suit. I am so excited for this. I think it's great. We were talking a little bit earlier about how this new suit feels like it's a combination of all of the previous suits.
Yes.
With the raised webbing and the deep blue. It looks really, really great. I think it's going to be really cool to see this suit up, you know, with the Hulk, because Mark Ruffalo's coming back as the Hulk for this one. And also, of course, my boy Johnny Bernthal as the Punisher. It's going to be really crazy to see this new suit with those guys fighting what I'm hoping is some street-level baddies, but we'll see.
You know, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. I mean, to see the Hulk and Spidey in a show is going to be amazing. John Bernthal's great. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize how intertwined and how friendly Bernthal and Holland are. You know, apparently, Bernthal helped Holland get the role of Spider-Man because he was prepping him. They were like acting together, and that's great because, you know, Bernthal is such an amazing actor. But to see Holland in that suit, it just broke me for a minute, because I was like, oh man, our little Spider-Man's all grown up now. Yep,
he's definitely a man now.
That outfit is amazing. And I love the fact that it pays tribute, really homage to the two Spider-Man that came before, with Tobey and
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, holy smokes, man. My theater cred is out the door now. July 31st of 2026. And that is going to happen right before Marvel Studios Secret Wars. It's coming out.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I will say that it made a splash at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know if you saw some of that. I know we talked a little bit about it in our other podcast, Dining at Disney. But please note that there's a teaser trailer you can check out for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, as season 2 sets sail December 10th. It looks amazing. So please check this out. The second season of Percy Jackson and the Olympians stars Walker Scobell, Leah Sava Jeffries, Iranian Simidari. And it's going to be available on Disney Plus later this year, right? December 10th. Can't wait.
December 10th.
Kat, you want to take this? What's going on with this Disney Plus and Swimply launched dive-in experience?
Yeah. I am a huge fan of Swimply here in Los Angeles. We all live in apartments. A lot of apartments don't have pools. Swimply is a great way to like get a pool. You can rent a pool for the day basically on Swimply, and it's a really fun idea. Another thing in LA that we do a lot here is outdoor screenings. We talk about Cinespia, screenings at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. This is kind of combining those two things. So it's a dive-in theater. Fans connect with their favorite films in a way that's very unique in the pool. It's great. A
Wow.
fully themed environment, every detail, photo ops, interactive elements designed to put guests into the story, swimming in a giant bowl of cereal, floating in tinted fog-filled water. You can really, literally dive into these experiences, and the films that they're showing this summer, yes is the thing that yes.
So sweet.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids
Yeah.
is the first film.
It's
They
awesome.
did this last weekend, and guests entered through a giant shrinking laser tunnel, immersed in a giant-sized world featuring cereal bowls, swimming pool, like I said, Cheerio pool floats, a towering popcorn box, and massive ants. I love it. We all remember the massive ant
Love that.
at Disney's MGM Studios from the 90s. Incredible.
That's awesome. Well, I love
Yes.
it. So coming up, Kat, what do they have on deck for people to watch?
Oh, well, just the Disney Channel classic, Camp Rock.
Oh, yeah. I was
Camp Vibes.
I don't know if you know, but we were involved in Camp Rock.
Yes.
It's always funny to see the Jonas Brothers and, play the guitars, and you look at the guitars in the movie, and it's like, oh, yeah, we placed that. We placed that. So, yeah, it's always good. But Camp Rock is great.
So silly. And then, they're going to finish out the summer with Alien.
And awesome.
Incredible. Deep space, spaceship decor, fog. You get recruited in English by Wayland Watani agents. I love it. I love Alien. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think
So
this
good.
is so incredible.
That's so good. In space, no one can hear you scream, but in the pool, be a different story.
Totally.
And that's awesome. It says to book a Disney Plus dive-in theater experience or discover amazing pools and unique spaces in your area, check out Swimply.com or download the Swimply app. That is great.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. Thanks, Kat. So coming to ESPN Radio and Disney Plus and ESPN, one of my favorite podcasters, Rich Eisen, is going to be making his debut on the platform. That's great. Nationally available on ESPN Radio and Disney Plus. Now ESPN Plus The Rich Eisen Show, the Emmy-nominated program, will air weekdays in its traditional noon to 3 p.m. slot on the radio and simulcast live to Disney Plus every day and ESPN Plus during select weeks this year. I think this is great. We talked a little bit about how Disney Plus is starting to go and dip their toes into the live news space. And it started with a recent announcement with ABC News, What You Need to Know, which is basically James Longman and Rachel Scott doing their news segments on Disney Plus, exclusively on Disney Plus. And now here they are diversifying, getting into the podcast space, especially with Rich Eisen, who's successful in that with ESPN Radio. So congratulations to them. I think this is great content. And, I love the fact that these podcasts that are high quality podcasts are done well. And Rich is going to be a great addition to the Disney Plus streamer. So good stuff there. Yeah, Kat, go ahead.
Can I make a comment?
Of course.
I don't know if you listen or watch Pod Save America with Jon Favreau from Crooked.
Uh-huh. I know the show.
You know of it.
Mhm.
So Roy Wood Jr. was on last week or the week before, and they were talking about the Stephen Colbert late night whatever.
Yes.
And he basically was like, this is the next, they're going to find people with successful podcasts and they're going to start filtering them into the mainstream late night talk show. Literally predicted this exactly,
Of
which
course.
I think is really interesting. Look into the trajectory of like future talking head style talk shows.
I feel that that's the way it's going. I
Yeah.
mean, when that years ago when I was hosting WDW After Dark, which was kind of like our late night talk show. And this is before, streaming was ubiquitous. This was before, I found ways to bring people together in a late night format where we were all talking about certain subjects. It was very much I felt like it was ahead of our time of how we were able to utilize streaming and multiple people on the same screen. But I think this is just the wave of the future. I mean, people like to be authentic, to have authentic content, and they tune into the personalities that they key into, that they enjoy. They discover niche content. They talk about subjects that are important to them. And it's even though you can have really good, production values in terms of a podcast, it doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can't continue, in my opinion, as terrestrial TV. And this is coming from someone that was in terrestrial radio. I had spent almost 20 years in terrestrial radio. It's so hard. And I spoke to people about this because, Spotify's in my building, and also, in the same building as me, and record labels are in my building. So we talk all the time, about how traditional forms of media are dying. And when you are looking at the bottom line and your stakeholders and shareholders demand, ROI, the return on their investment, paying 200 writers and production people is not tenable when you cannot bring in that kind of income from advertisement on a traditional TV show, especially late night. It's already niche-y. You're already, it's already hard to sell those advertising dollars. And where's the money going? It's going to influencers, like I talked about earlier. It's going to people creating content. It's going to reels and shorts and TikTok. That's where the brand deals and the advertisements are coming from now. So what are they going to do? They have to find people with great followings and put them on. And I think Conan is an amazing example. He was let go, and he put up an amazing podcast, and people love Conan.
True.
And so will Colbert find he's going to do a podcast? I guarantee he's going to do a podcast. Everybody's doing podcasts, and that's where you're able to utilize your following and find your niche, and then advertisers will come based on the strength of the content that you provide.
Yeah.
Networks are going to follow suit. I mean, I think it's a great thing. I mean, so yes, I mean, I'm with you. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm on a soapbox, but
no,
I think that, I think it's a great way for people to find their audience.
Definitely. And I was listening to Tyson Ritter from the All American Rejects talk about how they're encouraging indie musicians to release their own music, because basically you have to build your own following now to get anyone to come to your shows. You have to be savvy in that way. And I think across the board now, especially because content is so easily accessible, if you're not promoting yourself, if you're not creating your own audience and, creating that community, like there's no way you can be successful now. So
well, look at Taylor Swift.
Yes, exactly.
She mobilized her Swifties in a big way, and Tyson Ritter's doing the same thing with All American Rejects. And how viral have they gotten doing their tours in people's backyards? I mean, the stuff is legendary.
It's crazy.
And I love that those guys from All American Rejects. I mean, they played my bass guitar. Literally, my bass guitar, it was with them at Comic-Con and in the Jimmy Kimmel show, because they were like, Al John's bass. I'm like, well, crap, man. I literally just took it home and I have to give it to you now. So if you see that silver bass guitar, that was Al John's bass before it was Tyson's. And so now I'm building him one because he wants one. But it's the best, right? I mean, that happened. So every time I find an instrument, sorry, we have to go back to my All American Rejects. Every time I have an instrument, people are like, I want it. Like I had a sparkle purple bass, and literally the bass player from Better and Ezra is like, can we have that? I'm like, I guess so. It was mine, but now it's yours. I always find the good ones. But anyway, so I think that is the great way to do it. Get viral, establish yourself, and have the people making content that want to monetize your content and amplify it, like Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Have them get behind you. And I think, like I said, Rich is a very easy guy to listen to. He's a great podcaster, and looking forward to seeing that and more. And we'll see more. I guarantee you the late night shows. And Fallon is funny too, because his show is specifically made for viral moments.
Oh, yeah.
Fallon literally, that's his whole model, is like, we're going to make this for YouTube and then just package it for TV. Right. So it's kind of like, he kind of reverse engineered his show, and the show pays for itself. The most important thing for me is to see Jimmy and Questlove, really, to see the roots.
Yes.
Because it's like a great musical show. And I think that's what I love about Fallon, is because of the banter back and forth between, the Roots and Questlove and Jimmy. And he's such a great, musical performer anyway. So anyway, enough about that, gang. Let's talk about Fantastic Four First Steps. See, these are the kind of conversations we have, Kat.
Yes.
The Fantastic Four is in the parks. Kat, have you seen the Fantastic Four at Disneyland? Have you seen some of the stuff that went viral recently?
I haven't been down there yet, but I have been seeing pictures, and the projection show looks incredible.
Okay, good.
The projection show looks incredible. The rest of it, we'll get there.
I have to say, at least the costumes look accurate. At least, and I say they look accurate. I mean, they look comic book accurate.
Yes. Yes. And little Herbie, I just can't with that Herbie. He's so cute.
Herbie's great.
He's amazing.
So, to honor the release of Fantastic Four First Steps, they are welcoming Marvel's first family to Disneyland, which is awesome. They are making, the people that play them are making their debut at the Disneyland park, over at California Adventure, all the way through September 21st. So there's time for you to check them out. Space Mountain at Disneyland will also light up with special projection effects as well. To celebrate the Fantastic Four and the Disneyland 70th celebration. I like these character meet and greets and things. Herbie is great. I'm down with that. I think they look good to a degree. I think the actress that plays Sue Storm looks great.
Yes, agree.
Everybody else kind of needs a little help.
Yeah.
And how are you going to make the Thing, not look like the Thing from the comics? It's kind of what it is, right?
Yeah. It doesn't bother me. It could be worse.
It doesn't bother me either, because honestly, how are you going to get someone to look like Pedro Pascal? You're not.
No.
You're not.
No.
You're not. But it is hard. You've got a rock creature that's completely orange, and then, you put him in this outfit. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, he's going to look the way he looks. He looks like Michael Chiklis from the original Fantastic Four movies is what he looks like.
Yeah.
But, that's going to be good. And, it doesn't bother me. I think people like to slam Disney, and especially with face characters, because they don't look like the actors portraying them, or worse, they don't look like the animated characters that they're portraying. And I'm thinking, are you out of your mind? Like, you're not going to get a film accurate, Luke Skywalker that looks like Mark Hamill from, 1977. That's going to happen. I don't know what your expectations are. Anyway, last but not least, Kat, we were talking about Lollapalooza. They are streaming Lollapalooza now. This takes place in Chicago, as it has been over the past few years. Kat, you used to live in Chicago, and be right there, in front of everything. What are your memories of Lollapalooza?
Lollapalooza is such a fun weekend. They always get really interesting musical acts. It's always a very eclectic amount of people, groups, performers. It's really lovely, and it's right in the heart of the city. Grant Park, I have many, many fond memories of hanging out in Grant Park, but Lollapalooza is always just one of those times in Chicago, aside from St. Patrick's Day, when they dye the river green in Chicago, This
Right.
is like the second biggest gathering of people just coming together to celebrate. And, on St. Patrick's Day, it's St. Patrick's Day. And today it's music, great music. And this weekend they have some incredible performers that you can watch live on Hulu.
How about that? Once
I
again,
love it.
delivering Disney Plus and Hulu doing it. And I love it. So, as you listen to this, Lollapalooza will be over, but, there's a bunch of really, really cool acts performing. Big fan of T-Pain, Olivia Rodrigo, Korn,
T-Pain.
Among some of the ones. I'm just pointing out some of the ones that happened over this past weekend. You've got, let's see here, Sabrina Carpenter, Mariah the Scientist. There's so many others. Let's see, Isaiah Rashad. But yeah, there's just a ton of artists. Black Keys. I'm looking at a bunch. Rufus Du Sol, Twice, Luke Combs, Tyler the Creator. I mean, there's tons of people on here.
Yeah.
Are
it's
there
great.
any that stick out to you that you like or you want to see?
I love Doechii. I love Joe, the band with Joe Carey, excuse me, from Stranger Things.
Yep.
Love. I just saw Wallows play with My Chemical Romance.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they were wonderful, fronted by Dylan Minnette from Grey's Anatomy fame.
Yes. Now,
And it was lovely.
Yeah, Dylan, wasn't he in 13 Reasons?
He was in 13 Reasons Why as well. Yes, I did not watch that. I just remember him as the little boy shopping for ears or trick-or-treating for ears on Grey's Anatomy.
You see, yeah, I couldn't help myself. I had to see 13 Reasons. Yeah, it was very triggering. But that said, wow, a lot of people. Foster the People, one of my favorites. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. There are just tons of great bands. So there's something for everybody, I believe. So please check it out. I love their coverage when they do stuff like that. Grant Park, Cat's old hometown, Chicago, Illinois happened over the weekend. Lollapalooza streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Obituary roll call.
All right, Kat. This week we have a bunch of celebrity passings. And so Tom Trope, 97, passes away, veteran actor with credits in Star Trek, Frasier, Murder, She Wrote, and a fixture in classic TV. Robbie Parldo at 46. Wow. Member of City High, known for the hit What Would You Do, part of the early 2000s R&B culture. Jeannie Seeley at 85, Grammy-winning country singer with hits like Don't Touch Me, shaped Nashville's golden era. Also passing this week, Alan Alberg, 87, British children's author behind The Jolly Postman and Funny Bones. And then Robert Wilson, 83, avant-garde theater director, from Einstein on the Beach, revolutionized experimental stagecraft. And Flaco Jimenez at 86, Grammy-winning Tex-Mex accordionist, helped popularize, the conjunto. Did I say that right, Kat?
I think so.
Okay. Music globally. Yes, I am familiar with some of these folks, but the cool thing is that as we pay tribute to these people that have passed this week, you can always go back and check out their legacy of work, and rest in peace. And to all their fans and their family, they'll be remembered for their contributions to pop culture. Having said that, speaking of pop culture, let's dive into it right now. Dave sat down with Shawn Degenhart of the Cinderella Scorebook to talk about Disney music and, of course, Cinderella right here on Skull Rock Podcast.
Hey, let's chat.
Let's chat.
So let's chat now. Let's chat afterwards. And he said, let's chat again.
Skull Rock Podcast. Interview time.
Well, Aljon, we've got a very special guest today. We've got Shawn Degenhart, who's the author of a brand new book, Cinderella Score. Now, Shawn, welcome to the Skull Rock Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Now, is it the Cinderella Score? What's the official title of your book?
The official title is a Cinderella Study Score.
Okay. So my first question out of the gate is, what's your background? What makes you the expert on the Cinderella Score? And how did this book come about?
Hey, I was a music major in college, majored in theory, composition, and music history, all that nerdy stuff, and did a lot of community theater, do a lot of arranging, work for a church where I do a lot of custom arrangements and orchestrations and things like that. We have been a huge Disney family since 2012. Our oldest two girls were 7 and 4 at the time. We took them to Walt Disney World. I hadn't been since high school. And when we got there, we experienced the magic. It was a fantastic trip. We got picked to be the first family in the park at Magic Kingdom. You know, a fire truck ride up Main Street and greeting the guests, you know, along with the mayor and Main Street characters on top of the train station. It was unbelievable. And it was at that trip where I started really noticing Disney's attention to detail, their customer service, their hospitality, all those things. So when we got back from that trip, I became a sponge for all things Disney history and, you know, best practices of their, you know, just community engagement and all those kind of things. So that kind of paired up with my music interests and abilities. Always been a fan of Disney music and film scores. And I always, as an orchestrator and arranger, I've always wanted to study how these things were written and how the composers wrote things and how the orchestrators divided the string section to do different things and how they wrote for the woodwinds and all of that stuff. So in 2016, Disney published what they called the Snow White Master Score. I purchased it thinking it was the full score from the film, but it was actually what they call the iron pencil copy, which is sort of like the Bible for all those working on the film. You can see frames and references of action and a melody line to know what the music's doing. And it's just sort of the place that everybody goes to look to see what's going on with the film if they need to check anything. In those credits, I started looking at people that had worked on this project and found a lady whose name is Leslie Smith, who worked for the Disney Music Company. And I saw that she was the one that did all the digitizing and the scanning. So I sent her a Facebook friend request. It all comes down to the Facebook friend request. She accepted and we became good friends. I asked her a lot of questions. And about a year later, I said, you know, I would really love to do a study score project. You know, do you think anything like that is possible? Because Disney had never really released anything like that. And we all know how protective they are of their IP. So she said, you know, let me think about that and see how that might work. So she actually, a year later, set me up with a meeting with the head of Disney Music. I was out for D23 and my first time to the studio, and I'm meeting, you know, with executives from the Disney Music Group. It was very exciting. I pitched the idea to him. This was in 2017. He liked the idea, but wasn't sure how it would work legally, you know, all the hoops that would have to be jumped through. Would it be financially beneficial enough for the company, for the work they'd have to put in and getting me the assets, all that kind of stuff. So he said, don't give up on the project, but, you know, just kind of keep on thinking of some different angles maybe we could take and approach this project with. Fast forward a few years, I reached out to J.B. Kaufman, who has since become a good friend, you know, noted historian and author, and approached him saying, you know, this was my idea. Would the Hyperion Historical Alliance have any interest in a project like this? He didn't really think it fit their scope, but he was interested enough in the project to put in a good word for me. So it was in early 2020, I believe it was January 2020, where I was asked to submit an official proposal for this project, what it would entail, what I would need, all those things. Finally got approved in early 2020, and then COVID happened. So that kind of put a wrench in everybody's plans. Fortunately, all those scores had been digitized, so it was very easy for them to just grant me access to those scores. So I began the work of engraving. The engraving is actually putting the notes in note by note into the computer. And so that's where the project began, starting back in 2020.
So let me ask, I really want to try to understand this. When you say engraving, what is that process? Why are you doing it?
So the scores, you know, especially back in the 1940s and 50s, were all handwritten. And that's how they were, you know, delivered to the musicians on the stands in the recording sessions. Engraving is what we call, there's another word you can use as typesetting. So back old day musical practice, the notes and staffs and everything would actually be engraved on a sheet of metal. And then they would be engraved backwards and then run through a printing press. And that's how you got what you would consider, like what you would buy in the store as far as sheet music, looking professionally engraved. So while it's not technically engraving, that's still what the practice is called today. I use a program called Finale, which is a music notation program. And I set up the score with, the flutes, oboes, clarinets, trumpets, horns, everything that, was included in this orchestra. And then you painstakingly start entering in note by note.
So let me see if I can boil this down so it's a little clearer for our listeners. Back in the day, they would have taken blank sheets that just had the horizontal bars on them.
Yeah,
right?
the staff lines.
The staff lines. And they would, with a pencil, put in all the notes.
Right.
Right? All by hand. What you're doing is you're recreating that, but in a digital program.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then in those original manuscripts, there were lots of editorial notes and things crossed out and notes that, we changed measure 37 to this instead. So a lot of cleaning up, for what was actually recorded and presented in the film.
Okay. So you had to do that essentially with the entire score. Now, it's not just one sort of score, if you will. It's including all of the orchestrations. So you're doing the score for the woodwinds, you're doing the scores for the strings, and those are essentially different for each instrument, right?
Yes. You might have what they call Mickey Mousing in underscoring, when the underscoring accompanies the action. You might have, if the mouse was hitting Lucifer the cat over the head with a skillet or something, that might be accented by a brass blat, to kind of emphasize that. So on the score, you see all the woodwinds and the brass and the strings, everything that's happening at one time is on that one page.
And just, again, for our listeners to really understand this, the term Mickey Mousing is actually a musical term now that's widely used across the industry. It's not just at Disney. It's really where the music, the instruments are being used almost as the sound effects. Right?
Yes.
And the music is accenting the action that's on the screen, which is something that Oliver Wallace and some of the other great composers of the early 30s at Disney were doing. They were using the music to accent the action on screen, and many times a musical instrument was being used as a sound effect.
So if someone was falling down the stairs, you might have a piano going, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's probably the most basic. If you ran your fingers from one end of the piano keys to the other as a character was falling down the stairs, you would get that tonal change going from sort of the bassy end to a sharper end.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. And so this score includes all of the songs and all of the underscoring and the vocal parts and, the classic Disney choir sound that we all love from the 40s and the 50s. So this is everything musically that happens in the film is included in this book.
Yeah, and I did go through the book, and I'm not a musical person. I love music. I can communicate with musicians. I've been in charge of many scoring sessions as a creative director, but I'm not a musical person. But one of the things I love about the Disney music, especially the early material, is the use of musical instruments as the sound effects for a cartoon, as opposed to using, today it would be, electronic sound effects, but instead of using, actual sound effects, you're using the musical instruments, which to me, I think adds a deeper texture to the cartoons.
Absolutely. Lucifer, the cat, has his own theme with a low bass clarinet, kind of a slimy sound. And every time he would appear on screen, you'd get little, snippets of that motif there.
So they call that a leitmotif, right?
Yes.
Because it's each character in the film has their own little musical theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most popularized probably by Star Wars when people think of, Leia's theme and things like that.
So you started, in quote, digitally engraving all of this material. Why couldn't you have just used the digital scans of the original orchestrations and score?
They were in pretty good shape, but very difficult to read, especially with the size of a book. I mean, there were a lot of times I had to zoom in very far just to double check a note or reference a different score to see what the note was supposed to be. So it's not presentable to the public. It was used in the recording session, used once and then done. So it was not created for longevity.
Yeah, and I'm imagining too, because I've seen it happen, that there were musician notes on some of the sheets and things like that, right?
Yeah, there was a note from the orchestrator to one of the conductors saying, you may not want the trumpets from measures 35 to 38. I'll leave that up to you, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So everybody is kind of making notes on their, the scores that are put down in front of them.
Right.
Yeah. And also when they're doing a scoring session, the conductor may make changes.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
So then you've got the musicians notating what the conductor's asking for on the score that's in front of them. So I can imagine it gets a little bit messy.
And I even noticed the very first measure of the opening overture already had a change in it from what was on the film to what was, included in the score, and can't find any reference notes, anything as to why it was changed, but just a little mystery that popped up.
Well, it was probably a creative choice at the moment, and that was it, right? And there's no real documentation for those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, was this your first book?
Yes, I have published some hymnals and songbooks and things like that before, but the first project of this magnitude.
Mm-hmm. And aside from Leslie Smith, who I know, I actually just saw her this past weekend. She's a wonderful person, and a real Disney buff, and a great asset for Walt Disney Records.
Yes.
So aside from her, who else did you get involved? You mentioned J.B. Kaufman. I know J.B. But who else was involved with this project to really take it to the end result of a book coming out?
So Jonathan Healy was my contact at Disney Music Group, and he's the one I initially pitched this to, and he's no longer with the company. I think he's since retired, but he was a great help in getting me everything I needed. They were also able to supply me with some studio documents, production documents, and cue sheets and inner office memos and things like that. Very interesting seeing, okay, this copyright was assigned on this date and it was, sent off to be registered here, and all that kind of nerdy stuff that I love. So I was able to include some of those in this book as well. Don Hahn had become a Facebook friend as well, and I asked him if he would write a foreword for this. So he was very gracious in doing that, kind of comparing his experiences with Beauty and the Beast to what some of them, what they were dealing with Cinderella.
Not just Beauty and the Beast, but I mean, he worked on Lion King and Who Framed Roger Rabbit and all these other films, so he's a great resource. So that was really terrific seeing him do the foreword for you.
Yeah, and then the ARL, the Animation Research Library, provided me with several PDF packets of artwork that I would be able to use and choose from. So I was able to kind of include that as well, sketches from some of the artists and some concept art.
Yeah. And what was your goal in putting all this together? What was your thinking behind it?
I wanted to be able to offer people the opportunity to study this, especially for film composers and music historians and orchestrators, like I said, just to see how they wrote these things. What kind of mutes did they use on the brass for these fanfares? How did they divide the violins and, write the harmonies for them? All that kind of stuff. Just wanted people to be able to study and help preserve it for posterity, really.
Sure, and I'm imagining you, because of your academic background, you really have sort of put it together and organized it for somebody in a music program to study this.
Yes, and it's kind of what it was designed for those people. And that's the response I've been getting so far has been great. Just people, are really hungry for this and are so glad that Disney finally allowed a project like this to happen.
Now, because you've done this particular book, are you thinking about other ones that you might want to do that haven't been done yet?
I have a whole list of films that I'd like to do. I do have my second project already started. I can't announce it yet. The contract is still being worked on.
Sure.
And as soon as that's finalized, I'll be able to announce that. But very excited about that one as well.
Now, because that's moving forward, I'm imagining it's because this is doing well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right? So what type of people are buying this book, and have you found any surprises in that?
Mostly musicians, arrangers and orchestrators, and people that are in the pits on Broadway and doing film scoring, and also a lot of Disney fans. Disney music fans are eating this up. I've been really surprised by the international response. I've had about 10 to 15, I think, foreign countries that people have purchased it from, so that's been really exciting.
And because of that, are you going to do a digital version of it? In other words, an ebook?
No, that was not part of the license that Disney granted me.
Okay. Now, is this book being published by Disney?
No, this is self-published.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I have Disney licensed the score for me to do this.
Okay.
So, they still own everything they own, but then the actual project is mine that I've published.
And they have to scrub over it and approve it before it goes to print and all that junk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's always a chore. And
it's a chore, but it was a fascinating look into the process just to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy. What kind of feedback have you been getting aside from the sales? Have people been contacting you on Facebook? Have you been getting messages and things like that?
Yes, again, just thanking me for finally, they've been waiting for something like this. A gentleman in England, has an orchestra and is a writer. And I said, well, you can't perform it because it's not licensed, for a public performance. But he just loved being able to get in there and study it and, capture how they captured that classic Disney sound that we know and love.
Sure. And because you're doing a second one, are you envisioning doing a series of these?
Yes, that's my ideal, as long as Disney will keep allowing me to do so.
And are you focusing on older, like pre-1963, or are you focusing on, are you going to try and do some more contemporary films?
Right now, I think probably more focused on the older classics, during Walt's era.
Okay. So
there are obviously some I would love to do, like a Beauty and the Beast and things like that. But with the advent of the live to film pictures, I think more people have access to things like that. So right now, just the older materials.
And I'm also imagining the more contemporary films are being, the scores and arrangements are being archived in a better way.
Yes.
So, and because of the availability of just digital printing, that you have the original score, the original arrangements without all the markups and notations and all those things on it, even though some of that stuff may be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to follow that up by saying, because as I was saying it, I'm wondering if in the contemporary scores, when they're printing those out digitally, and if there's notations being made on those during the scoring session, do those notations get transcribed after the fact?
In talking to Leslie about that, I think they may, just because of the possibility of doing the live to film scores. So I know they keep all the scores from the sessions to have those changes available, but I imagine they do go back through when they're editing it for the live concerts.
And sort of do a final, like
Right.
this is the final score with the final arrangements after it's all been recorded.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What coming through a project like this, because it's really your first sort of big book project, what were some of the things that surprised you, and what were some of the things that you learned along the way?
As I talked about a little earlier, I was surprised by the process. You kind of have a general idea of Disney needs to approve this, but then learning all the different layers of everybody that has to sign off on everything, could be tedious at times, but everybody I worked with at Disney was wonderful, and they were very appreciative of the fact that I was doing that. And I just had to remind myself, I'm not the only person they're working with. They've got however many other people that are also wanting materials. And so they were great. And it was a great learning tool for the next project to see maybe start this aspect a little earlier, because it may take a little more time.
Yeah, and I would say that you've survived the Disney gauntlet.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of us refer to it as. It's a gauntlet. You have to run the gauntlet, and if you come out the other end, well, you're a better person for it.
That's one thing JB and Jonathan Healy said to me, you survived, and a lot of this stuff is kind of just to see how committed you are to seeing the project through.
Yeah, exactly. And that is part of it. Part of it is also they want to control every aspect of a project, and they want to control the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get notes back on your text that you sort of said, wow, that's why would they want me to do that?
Yeah, not much other than some grammatical things that we kind of went back and forth, and it wasn't a big deal. They did want they were questioning, I was able to find a roster of the actual players that played in the orchestral sessions.
Wow.
And the way I found that is because one of the documents they had provided me was a royalty statement from a soundtrack reissue from 1960.
Ah.
And it gave me a listing of all the players, what they played, and how much they were making on this reissue.
Oops.
So I was able
to have given you that.
Well, this was 50, 60 years ago.
I know, but normally they don't want to put that kind of information out there. But it's still a historical document, and like you said, it's 65 years ago or so. And
another friend had a list of the orchestra, and I was able to compare the two, and they were exactly matched up. Disney didn't realize that. They were asking, well, how did you find this information? We haven't been able to verify that. And once I showed them the process and where I found the information, they were fine, with me including that.
Yeah.
It just had not existed in a list like I had it.
Right. What else? What other types of things that from start to finish? How long did this project take you?
I got a good chunk of the engraving done during COVID. So the engraving actually probably took a couple years, and this is not my full-time job. So it was when I could grab, 45 minutes or an hour here and there. And then the approvals for the artwork took quite a while as well. And then, you send in your draft. And so it was fall of 2024. So all in all, it was like a 4-year project.
Yeah.
Given all the waiting around and approvals and everything.
Sure. And
something else that I was able to include that was really interesting were some piano sketches and lead sheets for songs that were not included in the film. There was a whole song score written in the early 40s by Larry Morey and Frank Churchill. Those were eventually abandoned before he hired Hoffman, David and Livingston. So I was able to include those songs as well as some early iterations of like the Sing Sweet Nightingale. Originally, that was planned to have a music teacher there teaching the stepsisters. So it was set up very differently, but similar enough with the melody and things like that. So I was able to include that, and you can kind of see the growth from the original concept to how it ended up in the film.
And talk a little bit about the actual process of having the book created. And, you had to go to a printer, or are you doing print on demand?
No, I went to a printer. Like I said, I used Finale and exported out of Finale as a PDF file.
Uh-huh.
And then I imported that PDF file into Adobe InDesign. And that's where I added all the text and the graphics and kind of set the book up as it was to be printed. Okay. And then I have a printer about 3 or 4 hours away from me that I've used for other smaller projects. And they were fantastic. About a week and a half turnaround time, which I was very pleased with.
Really? So what kind of I mean, you don't have to tell me the exact print run, but did you do an enormous amount, or,
my contract had a limit on what I could, what they would allow me to print. So I did do, that maximum, and it wasn't a lot. I still do have a garage full of them.
Okay.
But so I print all at once.
So how do people get this book? I want to be able to make sure our listeners know. Can they go on Amazon or Barnes & Noble to buy this?
Not on Amazon yet. I'm working on that. Right now it's exclusively through my website, which is degenhartmusic.com. And then also
I'm going to make sure Al John puts a link into our show notes for that. But Degenhart
Music.
Degenhartmusic.com, all one word, right?
Yes.
DEGEN
HART
music.com. Okay, got it.
So it's available there, and there's some samples you can kind of see a few pages, and
and it's a hardbound book.
It's paperback.
Oh, it is. Okay, it's a paperback book. Okay,
9 by 12 and about 416 some pages.
Wow!
So it's a hefty volume.
Wow! And what's the cost?
$100.
$100? Wow.
Wow.
That is a lot. But obviously, to me, it's worth it because I went through the whole book, and it's pretty darn impressive.
Thank you. Thanks.
It really is. I think you did a really fantastic job with it. What advice would you give to other people out there right now who are contemplating doing such a book project?
Any project like this, the key words that I found working with Disney is polite persistence.
Polite persistence. I like that.
Yeah, just every couple weeks, if you don't hear back, send another email, just checking in, any movement on this, and polite persistence.
Yeah. And who was the biggest supporters of this? Leslie Smith. And
Leslie
Jonathan
was a great
Healy.
encouragement. Jonathan, JB was also a great encouragement as well.
And of course, Don, who wrote the foreword.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to sort of go back to the same group of people for the next one, or 2 or 3 or 4 that you're going to do?
JB told me that the next film I'm doing is not really his area of specialty. He said, I know there are plenty of other experts. So, feel free to reach out to them. But he said, anything you need, please just let me know, and he'll do whatever he can to help.
Yeah. And have they given you an invitation to join any organizations since you put this book out?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Go into the mailbox every day waiting.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. But I got to say, this is one of these wonderful stories about somebody who really just gets a bug to do something and follows through on it, because, there's plenty of people out in the world who say, boy, I'd love to do, a book on the Cinderella score or something, and they never follow through. But you followed through, and I give you kudos for that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was definitely a labor of love and a great passion of mine.
Yeah, and it's fantastic, and I hope that you continue to work on these projects, even if they take 3 or 4 years. They're passion projects, and they're aspects of Disney history that should be documented in book form for posterity. And I commend you highly for doing that with the Cinderella score, and I can't wait to see what your next projects are.
Thanks. Would love to come back and tell you about it.
Well, I would expect that you'll reach out to me the next one when the next one's published, And I would, absolutely say to you, keep going and keep doing this because it's great work. There's a lot of people out there that are interested in the music that Disney has brought to the world, not only through animation, but through the theme parks and stage productions and, just the music universe of Disney in general. So I want to say thank you, Shawn Degenhart, for being on the Skull Rock podcast. I want to remind our listeners that in the show notes, there is a link to Degenhartmusic.com where you can get a copy of this book. And I will tell you all, it is worth the price. So go out and enjoy that. And Shawn, thank you very much for being on the Skull Rock podcast.
Thank you, Dave. It was a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Director Kevin Lima, and you're listening to the Skull Rock Podcast.
Oh, yes. Skull Rock Podcast is on Patreon. You can help support the show with your monthly contribution and become a friend of the show. Be part of the almighty Skull Rock Podcast crew. Much like friend of the show, Josh Volker, or you become a producer, an awesome crew member, Steve Munch, also Chris Banis. Thank you so much. By supporting the show, you get to make sure that A, you get a shout out on the show, and B, support the show and get this content for free every single week. Now, I tell you, one of the coolest things about being a Patreon crew member is the fact that you get to have ad-free versions of this show. So if you do dig it and you want it, you might even put in some extra, like, behind-the-scenes stuff. We're working on that. So if you enjoy the show, awesome. Be part of the show, be part of the Patreon, and keep this show going. We do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support and subscribing to Skull Rock Podcast.
Skull Rock Podcast, where you hear the stories behind the adventures.
Let's get out of here!
Come on, Scotty, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, Lieutenant.
That's the end. We're coming to the end of the program, and I hope you enjoyed our little sit-down interview. I love the fact that Shawn was here talking about Disney music. You can check out his links in our show notes. You can check out the score of Cinderella in the Cinderella score book on Amazon. So we're going to put our links in our show notes so you can check out that book as well. Gang, thank you so much for being part of the show. We're wrapping things up. Don't forget, if you just stumbled upon our show, be sure to subscribe to our feed everywhere you get podcasts. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel as well. We would love that. Subscribe to it. We would appreciate that. You can follow us on all our social media platforms as well. You can even hit us up individually on LinkedIn. Dave and I would love for you to do that and send us all of your emails because we love to read them. Dave at skullrockpodcast.com or Aljon at skullrockpodcast.com. Show archives can be found at skullrockpodcast.com, and you can check out, shows that date back over the past 4 years. I can't believe we've been doing this show for like 4 years now.
Crazy.
Insane. Check me out once again, Dining at Disney Podcast with Kat and my wife, Kristen. We do shows every single week talking about Disney food and, of course, the Disney park news. It's a lot of fun. You can also check out our friends at Sorcerer Radio at srsounds.com. Please do that. And then you can check out Dave. He's got Tunes Behind the Tunes on Sirius XM Disney Hits Channel 133. And this month, he's got something special rolled up his sleeve, so be sure to tune in for that. You can also check out the oldmillpress.com that includes awesome books like Mark Mason's Disneyland poetry book. You can check out Dave's book, the latest one, Find Your Happy Place, the 8-Step Guide to Boosting Your Creativity Through Personal Retreat, the winner of a gold medal at the Fire Book Awards. Dave has won so many awards for his books. You can check out all of his Disneyland and Disney World type of books and, of course, the behind-the-scenes stuff that he writes about, especially like A Nightmare Before Christmas, where he does deep dives with the filmmakers and all kinds of great stuff there at oldmillpress.com. You can check out his website as well at davidbossert.com. And he's got a bunch of essays as well as some free stuff that you can take advantage of as well. Be sure to send Dave that stuff, a request for free stuff. He'll send it to you at davidbossert.com. Kat, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Catastrophe, at CAT_ASTROPHE. And of course, like Aljon said, every week at Dining at Disney, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again, Aljon, for having me this week. I have been really enjoying talking pop culture with you because, we do anyway, so it's not like it's anything crazy.
No, we love it. And thank you so much for subbing in for Dave this week. Dave should be back next week for another episode of Skull Rock Podcast. Once again, have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Kat, for subbing in. And don't forget to be kind to one another. And we'll see you next time on an all-new episode of Skull Rock Podcast. Okay, hold on. That did go live. There you go. Now it went live. Hey, it's time for the Disney Travel Deal. And that's where I get my cue, and I'm going to throw it over to Kristen for an awesome week of travel deals. What's up?
This time I am going to talk about a Disney Cruise Line travel deal. Ooh. For a limited time. You can save 50% off the third and fourth guests on select sailings. Thank you. This is going to be on the Disney Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, Fantasy, and Wish. It's going to be for the dates between October 3rd of this year and March 30th of 2026. So you'll have a non-discounted first and second person, and then your third and fourth will be 50% off. So that's not bad. You do have a booking window. It must be booked by October 12th. I will say, take advantage of this because it's not very often anymore that we get. What are you showing, Aljon?
This is on the Disney Treasure. Sorry, this is just background.
The Instagram. Okay.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out what you were doing. Yes. So it's not very often that Disney offers cruise line deals, not like this. So if you are thinking about it, now is the time to do it if you have 3 or 4 people in your family.
Nice. Where can people email you for this great deal or a deal on any cruise line, including Royal Caribbean or Carnival or, of course, Disney
MSC.
Cruise Line, MSC, what have you, Virgin? Where can people email you for that? And, of course, the Disney or Universal parks.
They can contact me at Kristen, Kristen, at magicaljourneystravel.com.
I love it.